Hello, welcome back to PinneTherapy with me, Sarah. I'm in the UK. I'm in the west, southwest, not far from Wales. Excuse the appearance, I've just got out of the shower. I am trying to get ahead of myself, so I'm kind of rushing to get this done in the time that I have to do it. But you won't see this for another couple of weeks. And I'm also trying to get it done before my daughter gets home from school, because she's got a school fair after school, and I know she's going to be hyped about going to that. So I have wet hair because I've got out of the shower because I had a crazy kind of busy day doing things for me, which is great, but busy nonetheless. So the last episode, I kind of went off piste a bit because it had been so long since I had filmed anything that I adjusted basically acquisitions. So I'm going to try and make this a back to normal kind of structure. I will get my book. I actually made some notes. But yeah, I hope everyone's okay. I hope you've been alright in the last 2 weeks, even though when I'm filming this, it's literally the day after I filmed the other one. Not a lot else has obviously happened because when I'm filming this. But yeah, Wimbledon's on. If you like Wimbledon, we love Wimbledon. Well, we'll say I love Wimbledon, so I have it on, and everyone else kind of suffers and puts up. Anyway, right. I hope I've said who I am and where you are. If you want to know what PinneTherapy means, go back to the first one. I kind of explain. So let's jump right in. The first thing we do is talk about a hoe, a historical object. I was going to put it on, but I think I would be too warm. So this is my historical object. This is the Featherweight Cardigan by Hannah Fettig. Now, when I first started actually knitting properly, watching podcasts and knitting properly, so there was a time when, and I think I mentioned it in the last podcast, there's things that people knit now, like the ranunculus and the Olga sweater and things like that. When I first started doing knitting, actually knitting garments and things, it was when everyone was knitting sock head hat. They were all, what was the other thing everyone was knitting? I can't remember, but everyone was knitting this, a featherweight cardigan. I believe the pattern is like this, so it's got button bands, but it doesn't have buttons or buttonholes. It's just kind of an open cardigan, and I chose to stripe the cardigan. I didn't stripe it from the top or down the sleeves because at that point this was me winging it, doing my own thing, and trying to figure out if it was going to look okay while doing these increases in a raglan and things. That was not something I could keep within my brain, so I just did it on the street knitting. This, I can't actually remember when I made this, but I made it when we lived in Norway, and we have been back from Norway for 6 years, so this has got to be like at least 8 years old. I can't remember the wool that I knit it in. I know that this yellow was just standard Norwegian kind of wool that you could get anywhere. I don't know if it's a merino. It's a bit more itchy than like a superwash merino, and it is quite bobbly. I mean, it's 8 years old, and I don't have a debobbler. I probably should get one. And it doesn't really bother me. This is just to chuck it on and go. It's really great for, it's maybe a bit warm for the summer because of the wool. Like, if you get a bit warm, it gets a bit itchy. But it's a great, like, in the morning or in the evening, chuck it on, and it's great, like, spring and summer. The only thing with me is that the way it's knit, or maybe it's what I knit it with, how kind of wide this raglan is, it does kind of fall off my shoulders a bit, and that kind of annoys me. But I wouldn't equally wear it if there were buttons and buttonholes, because it would actually be too tight on me, more tight than I'd be comfortable with. So, but to be fair, this is again another really well used garment that I've used loads. And again, it's something I knit right at the beginning of my journey, something really, well, not random because lots of people were knitting it, but random now, I guess, in my head. It's definitely one of my, like this mustard yellow and stuff, is favorite. It's more yellow actually, really. Anyway, but yeah, I didn't swatch or anything for this. I made it and it is perfect size, perfect length. So half of me is like, why do I bother swatching and stuff? I should just knit on intuition. But I don't know. Maybe I overthink things now as a more experienced knitter. I don't know. Does anyone else do that? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. So anyway, that's my hoe. She doesn't have a name. She's just the stripy cardigan. Done. Right. I know this is annoying, but needs must. This is actually going to be really hot, so watch out. That was mainly foam, and I'm sorry for the noises. I'm going to check my notes. So I've done my hoe. Right, now for the whips. All the whips. I actually don't have one of my whips here. Oh no, finished items. FOs. Okay. This one. I'm going to just show you first because it was finished and it is lovely and beautiful. Sorry for the fold, it's obviously being folded. This is, everybody knows, the Sailor Swift top or vest by... Now, I wrote this down because it's Veronica Lindberg, but her, like, handle on things is this Kutova Gika. Veronica Lindberg is easier for me to say, so I apologise. Anyway, this is a beautiful, beautiful pattern. This is not for me, as you can see. This is for my daughter who is 11 and just super long. Her dad is 6'4" and she's taking after her dad. So I had some issues with this, and you may have seen, if you go on my Instagram, there's a reel about how the story went with the issues. Basically, my daughter is getting really quite big in terms of knitting her children's sizes for anything. So I thought the best thing to do from now on is probably just to pick the extra small or extra small size of a lady's patterns, because then it gives her room to grow into them as well, considering, you know, I've got to knit the thing as well, and then if she fits in it for 5 minutes, that's just a waste of my time, really, let's be honest. So in any case, the problem that I didn't think through before I did it was that obviously being made for a lady and ladies' body being slightly different to young girls' bodies. Anyway, the armhole was really very long. I mean, it came down to like here. And I know when you do this I-cord binding, it does pull it in. But I got her to try it on and it was very revealing. There was just no, that wasn't going to happen. So it needed more material here, really. So initially, because I'm a bit lazy, and I was like, shall I just try and make some panels? So I originally picked up a load of stitches down here and kind of did a slight increase on each side and just knit up matching the stripe pattern to then sew it in. Sewed it in, and I wasn't happy with it. The panel was too big, to be honest. It was too gapey then under the arm. And also my daughter is super sensory, so she doesn't like the labels in like normal t-shirts and stuff. So I thought there is no way she was going to wear it with 2 seams coming down the side here. There's just, and for, like, I would just be finishing it for the sake of finishing it, and then she wouldn't wear it, and that's just a waste. Not that she's actually worn this yet, to be honest. So in the process of taking it out and getting a bit frustrated, I actually ended up cutting into the fabric. Luckily, it was literally at the spot that I would have taken it back to anyway. So I ripped it. Oh, there's that. I ripped it all out, just all the way up until like here, just after the hole. And yeah, I guesstimated how big of an armhole. And this obviously, like I said, the I-cord brings in this hole in the neck hole. Not a lot, but it is significant in terms of how big the hole is and then how much it kind of neatens it up. And I must say, actually, the I-cord for this, it's really clever. I'm not going to say because it's obviously part of her pattern, but the way she gets you to do the I-cord is so that it lies flat like this, and it's a really nice detail, actually. And I wasn't going to make one for myself because of the negative ease. I was a bit like, I won't wear it because I'm not that 100% comfortable wearing something with that much negative ease right now. But then I thought I'd wear, even in the summer really, as long as it's not too hot, I still wear like a t-shirt and my dungarees, my lighter dungarees. So I thought, actually, no, I could make one and just have it, I wear tighter t-shirts and things, like skin fitting underneath my dungarees. So maybe I'll make one for myself, but I'm a little bit traumatized from what happened with this and having to rip it all the way back and do it. But it was really nice to knit, actually. Once I got over the whole my boo-boo and then trying to be lazy about it and then just admitting to what I needed to do. But it turned out lovely. I'm happy with it. She really likes it. I just need to make her wear it. That's that. I knit it in, so the pattern calls for 3mm needles, which I imagined I used. I remember getting gauge drops Safran. I don't know what the colours were. This is like, that's pretty true to colour. It's like a Barbie pink and a white, and it's not an off-white, it's a white. So yeah, that's that. Okay, and obviously this was my first thing into cotton knitting this summer. What kicked off this new obsession now with the cotton yarn. So that's that one. The other thing that I finished knitting was for me, and I am yet to wear this, just because when I finished this it was so hot that I wasn't going to wear it. Actually now would be a great time to wear it, so maybe I should wear it now. So this looks really wide, and actually I think it is a bit wider than I would have made it really. This is just a black top. This is the, now I don't know how you say it. Is it, I want to say Sabai, but it's not Sabai. Sabai? The top that everyone has been knitting. Let me get her name right. Susanne Müller. Susanne Müller. There is a version with a rib, and then there is this version with no rib. I chose the version with no rib, but actually I think maybe the ribbed version, where it gives a little bit of like, I'm assuming the rib gives it a bit more, less of a box feel, a bit more of a shaped feel. But saying that, I really like this. Again, the armholes are quite deep, but you show like a flash of bra, and at this point in my life I don't really care anyway, so rock on. Yeah, but it sits nice on the shoulders. It's nice on the shoulders. The body's just maybe a bit bigger than I wanted. And I was thinking about this the other day, and there's another new project that I want to cast on soon. And when I was looking at measurements, I'm so kind of in between sizes and how much ease I want. And sometimes I'm making things with too much ease, and I'm not hugely 100% happy with the end product. And I was listening to the Grocery Girls podcast talking about how they do measurement now after going to some sort of masterclass. And as much as we measure our bust across the biggest part, sometimes actually taking your upper bust is a better measurement to go by. And so some patterns, I'm thinking that actually I should start the pattern in one size, and then once I get past the bust, make it in the other size. So yeah, I don't know. I am happy with it. It's a little bit wider than I would like, but it's really nice. it's, the drape on it is beautiful. This looks really nice like that. It's a lovely, lovely top. The neck is beautiful. It blocks out really lovely. Just black things and having a white dog. So yeah, this was Drops Belle, which is a DK. It was knit on 4mm needles. I don't know what that is in US, I'm sorry. Is there anything else on here? It's 20 stitches, 28 rows gauge. Everyone probably knows it because I think loads of people have knit it. Oh, I have one more FO. Bear in mind, this has been like 2 months or something, so actually I'm a bit disappointed how much I haven't knitted. These were my emergency car knitting socks. I now have replacement emergency car knitting socks. I don't have out of the car because they live in the car for emergencies. But when they're finished or when I remember, I'll show you maybe. But these are my emergency car knitting socks. It's just a vanilla sock. I don't know why I'm trying to put this on my hand, it's just weird. Vanilla sock with a heel and gusset, because that's my favourite. The wool is, I think it's discontinued. Well, I don't know if it's discontinued. They're not obviously doing it anymore. It's an Arne and Carlos. The ones that they did in conjunction with Regia that were called Pairfect. Play on words. So the ball's really clever. It comes with a yellow, similar to this actually, which is like the start of the ball. So you kind of remove that yellow and then it's the same when you get to the end. So the yellow you get rid of and then you start knitting your sock. And you knit your sock however you like to knit your sock. And then once you finish your sock, you kind of pull out the yarn until you get to the yellow marker yarn again. And then you start your second sock. So then you get 2 identical or perfect paired socks. And I've had a few of them. I actually think I've got another ball of this. I don't know why, but I had 2. But they're lovely. I like the kind of rainbow, big chunky rainbow. Nice and easy to knit. I think I actually wrote down for you. So I always knit on a 2.25, always DPNs. I do have one set of addies that are really sharp. And I don't mind those, but they're not my favourite. But I always knit picks, the little like gold ones. These are probably, I actually don't know if they're a 60 or 64, but that's what I knit depending on what I knit them for. The leg is about 3 inches or just over. The cuff is like 12 rows. But yeah, I mean, it changes every time. I just do what I fancy really. But yep, those are my socks. So I'm just time checking. Yep, vanilla socks, Arne and Carlos, lovely jubbly. They can get washed with my woolies. Right. Now on to whips. First whip I'm going to show you, because we're talking about socks, is a pair of socks. Now, I think in my second podcast, I declared, and I make these declarations, and then I hear myself afterwards and I'm like, but why? So these are my, one is actually stabbing me in the leg. These are my Addies DPNs. It's just a silver, but they're really quite sharp on the end. And the only reason I'm using them for this is because I had all my other sock needles on socks. So I said that I only knit vanilla socks, occasionally a textured sock, but that's it. I didn't see the point of making fancy socks because they're going to be in boots and stuff like that and whatever. And then literally like a week, 2 weeks later, I was like, why don't I could have a go at making. I actually don't know what the thought process was, but then I made these. So these are the Nana socks, which I also like the name of because that's what we call my mum, my daughter, Nana instead of Grandma. Did I actually write this down? Yes, I did. By Mariella Alexander. The bit of cabling is really pretty. Get out of the way. Isn't it pretty? Yeah, so it's a twisted rib at the top. This wool I got from the first time I went to Wonderwool, so like 5 years ago maybe. It's by Yarn Undyed. It was so the wool is 85% superwash merino and 15% nylon, and it was part of their seconds, so it was just a nice ball of seconds, and I liked. So I'm following the pattern, and then I do a short row heel. It's not obviously my favorite heel. I don't mind it though, but I thought for the, you know, I'm doing a fancy sock, let's do a different heel. So I did. You will have noticed that the pattern stops at the foot. There is no complicated whatever reason other than I get irritated at bobbly things and things in my shoes and my boots. And really, who's gonna see it on my foot? And if I am somewhere and I take my shoes or my boots off, like, this still looks amazing. And the yarn is so beautiful. The I didn't realize how much brown was actually in it. The brown and the kind of purple, like a blush pink and things. It looks so pretty that it kind of speaks for itself anyway. So I'm just going to do a plain foot, but this is the first sock, and admittedly I haven't done a lot on this for a very long time. I kind of got all excited. The interesting bit is this: it's a 4-row repeat. After like the second time of doing it, I remembered it, and that was kind of fun, and you get through that quick because you could just do like a 4-row repeat like morning and evening, and you're kind of done in a week. And then it's just, yeah, so really I need to just get that foot knit so I can knit the rest of it, because I'll forget the pattern in a minute, and then it'll be back to looking at it and I won't be bothered, and they'll just sit in a bag for ages, which I feel like they already have that kind of energy, so I need to do something about that. Sorry if I'm rushing, I'm just trying to get it done. Also, there's my little jug full of some different flowers I got out the garden this morning. Pretty. I actually don't have loads of whips. Well, I do know I've got something somewhere else. I don't know where it is. I'm not even going to show you what's in here because it's another pair of socks, but I've literally cast on and then separated the stitches to then join in the round, and I haven't. But look at this beautiful bag. I got it from a local market. She makes things for, it's supposed to be like a toiletry bag or something, but isn't it a perfect like little boxy bag? So it's great for like sock projects or like a single skein project, so like a small scarf or something like that. It's so beautifully made, and I think this is an olive. It's supposed to be olives. I hate olives, but this is pretty, and it was the prettiest one, and it was one I was going to pick, and I asked my daughter which one she would pick, and she picked this one too, so that's the one we went with. I'm not going to bother showing you that. I will show you what's in there. I've got like a basket here that is supposed to contain my knitting things, but it spills a lot. I showed you the little bunny last time, and that now has eyes and feet and all sorts. So this one I didn't even write this. No, I did write this down. I feel like I rushed when I didn't need to. But that's fine. I can talk about my next cast on. Although I don't know. And obviously I've got one in the car. Socks in the car. Again, that was my socks that are in the car are they are a bit random for me. I don't usually do my own. I get self-striping. I love self-striping yarn and things like that because it's easy and it's not complicated, and I hate ends. But I thought, no, come on, you've been knitting that long, like even to do striped socks, like just learn how to weave in the ends as you go. So I used it as a kind of teach yourself and see if you like it and this, that and the other. And I was trying to, because I feel bad about the amount of wool I have bought in the last couple of months, I was trying to de-stash with it. So use random bits of wool that I found, sock wool that I found in my stash. All like browns and stuff, but I'll show you that another time. So I showed you this yarn last time. This was the stuff that I helped another lady de-stash. So again, it kind of doesn't count as buying new yarn, but it was Stylecraft, naturals, bamboo and cotton. It says it's DK. I don't feel like DK, but whatever. Although I'll show you how far I am on it. So this is a t-shirt. So the bamboo and cotton. Let me get this right. So it's a Seaside tee by Cheryl Mokhtari. It's in size large. I'm knitting this on 3.5 needles. And I picked this because I love stripes. But also, and it feels so nice. It was a new shoulder construction for me. I'll show you, let me just show you first. So here we are. Oh, when I hold it up like that, I'm actually really happy with it. You know, when you've just been knitting on something for so long, and again, this might just be me, and this is obviously my process. I'm learning this now, that I get really excited, I cast something on, and I do all the work, and then I get kind of halfway through, and I don't know if it's resentment. And then I start to be like, oh, I don't really like it, but I've got to finish it. And then I finish it and I'm like, well, and then I really love it. So I don't know. It's just obviously my process. Oh, there's needles sticking out. Okay. So anyway, this is how far I've got. I have separated for the sleeves. Oh my, there's so many ends. This is the only other thing with this pattern is that because it is striped and you do actually knit it in the round, but you break the yarn at different points to make sure that you're keeping the kind of stripe pattern, you know, as it should be. But anyway, so they've got this lovely shoulder construction that then goes into the sleeve. I don't know if you can actually, you can't see that. Isn't it? It's really clever. I loved it. And then you obviously pick up for a button band later, and then do the sleeves later. Now my strategy that I've spoken about with my sister-in-law to do, because I get major sleeve island, and obviously this is a t-shirt, so it's going to be minuscule sleeves, although they're a bit longer than I would really do on a tee. But so this is how far I've got from splitting to 2 stripes. Just I've obviously got a lot more body to do. The only thing is, these are quite tightly wound, they're 100-gram balls. This is what I have left from the 2 balls I started with, and I only have this in this colour. I am really scared that I'm not going to have enough of this to even finish the body. I'm hoping that I do, but I've got a horrible suspicion that I won't do. So I'm not going to put the body on yarn and then do the sleeves, because I want to knit the body with as much of this as I can. before running out, because I don't mind if I just have even a shorter sleeve maybe, or just a longer kind of darker section at the end, and then maybe same for the body. I'll judge by how much I'm running out of this. But yeah, I don't think, and that's more my calculations, because that says it's a DK and I'm knitting a DK pattern, but actually the yarn feels not like a DK at all. So am I using less yarn then? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, I didn't gauge swatch for this. My theory was I had done loads of gauge swatches with a similar weight yarn, and so I was like, nope, I'm just making a thing. So that might come back to bite me in the ass. But there we go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And it feels, this bamboo and cotton, it really makes me want to see what colours they actually have, because this feels immense. It feels so nice. Out of all the cotton blends so far that I have knit with, or cottons, this is the nicest by far. So fair dues, Stylecraft. I'm tempted to try and find some more colours, but it's lovely. Do you know what? It would make a really nice lightweight jumper as well for the summer and stuff, like a beach jumper. Yeah, so that's that I've been knitting on them the most, to be honest. Other than my car emergency socks, that's kind of all technically my current whips. But I think I put a picture on Instagram, and I showed you a swatch last time of this. I'll show you the swatch. This swatch. Just stunning. Oh, yeah, you can also see the doggy's footprint. There's another one on the other side as well, because I stupidly let her round the front garden. That's where I get the most sun, when I was blocking this, and I stupidly left this on the floor, and she thought it needed something extra, but it's still beautiful nonetheless. So my daughter ages ago she was to make a friendship bracelet and things, and you can do it with embroidery thread, but that's kind of expensive, and I knew that they did the cotton yarn at Susanne Müller, because that's what this is. So she picked these colors for her thing, and she was holding them together one day, and I was like, that is screaming stripes at me. That is just joyful and summery and springy and Eastery, and just ooh. But it made me feel a bit childlike. I thought that's so nice. So I negotiated with her a quid, £1 sterling, to take some of her colours to make this swatch, which I didn't even use all of. Yeah, so I had the plans of using this to make an Olga blouse. So it says blouse, but it's just the lightweight version of the Olga sweater, because for the summer, like, again, beach jumper, it's screaming to me, you know, like, just love. I so want this on me wearing, because it makes me so happy. But my daughter has now issued me with a copyright infringement. She royally kicked off when I said I was watching to make myself an item with the stripes, because they were her colours. And I said, well, you know, I took inspiration from you. And no, it didn't matter what I said. She said, no, Mummy, I chose those colours, so you should be making me something with those colours, not yourself. She 100% guilt tripped me. Oh, wait 1 minute. I am so sorry. Somebody, how dare they ring the house. Right. What was I even saying? That my daughter said yes. I have a lawsuit on my hands with my daughter. So she said the only possible thing that I can do now is to make her something as well, but first. So she has to have the thing first before me. And to be fair, this would look beautiful on her. I have at the beginning of this told you that she is so long. I mean, she's about this far off from being the same height as me. Admittedly, she's not as wide as me, but she's still big enough that it takes long enough, especially when it's fingering weight yarn and I'm going to be knitting it on a 3.5 needle. So I have to knit her something before I knit mine, which means I am not going to get to wear my Olga blouse this year. I have to be just realistic. That's okay. I've got lots of other things I can knit. It's fine. I'll save it for next year. So I negotiated that I wasn't going to make her. The thing is, she half doesn't wear the things that I make her for summer anyway. So I said, look, Mummy's going to make you a t-shirt instead of a jumper. Then I don't have to knit quite so much. I did debate whether to do the Seaside tee, the one that I've just showed you that I was doing for me, but that's a 5-stripe pattern, and I wanted something a bit more plain, just kind of plain raglan, really, ideally. Just realised I don't have my thing with me, but it's fine. So instead, I thought I would get so everyone knows this, and the pattern is great. She includes so much variation of what you can make and how you can make it fit your body. It's slightly more money for the pattern, but you get so much with it. Actually, really, you're probably buying several patterns in one pattern. So everyone knows it, the Tolster tee by the Creator Bear, is it? She's got some wonderful things. So it's just, I believe it's just a raglan top. Again, it's a lady's pattern. I'm just going to make it in the smallest size that she does. Because it's just a raglan, I have confidence that I can stripe it fine. I will just make sure that I do my joins kind of at the back of one of the shoulders. So I'll figure that out. I've not actually even looked at the pattern yet, but that's what I'm going to cast on next, is that t-shirt for her. And then I think I'll concentrate on the 2 t-shirts, so get my Seaside t-shirt done. And when I've finished that t-shirt, the dog's just woken up. When I finish that Seaside tee, then I can allow myself to cast on the Olga blouse, and we'll see how far I get. But anyway, daughter's going to be back in 10 minutes. So that was quite good. If I rushed, I'm sorry. I just don't want to talk forever and ever and ever about everything. That's for her t-shirt. So I think I showed you everything. And last time I didn't, she's making noises and stuff now. So. Last time I didn't really give anyone advice for anything, this and the other. I want to go back to my original thing, and I think it's becoming my little catchphrase. If I'm walking, jumping up on tables now, you should go walking too. And here in the UK now there's a kind of a initiative that's been launched soon. They make it into a bit of a game thing for, I guess, some of the younger generations. but getting people walking more and saying if you don't do any other exercise, walk, which I go on about all the time. So again, I'm going to tell you to walk, move your body. I know it's really hard, and if you can't, obviously you can't, but if you're in pain or discomfort or this and the other, I know it feels counterproductive, but actually walking is, and it can be slow and steady, is just honestly one of the best things you can do, both for your body to feel better, but for you to feel better about yourself and your body. And it doesn't have to be for long, but do it. The other thing that's kind of really come up for me in the last couple of months, there has been so many things going on. I last Tuesday had an absolutely horrendous day for various reasons out of my control, and I felt the effect in my body for days afterwards. And in the last month, I also, there was another week where things were that difficult. Capacity is what I'm talking about. It's really hard to explain. So everyone has a capacity of what they can deal with, you know, and I always liken it to an empty mug or an empty glass of water. Since everything that's happened to Evie, our daughter, with nearly losing her and then learning she needed heart transplant, having heart transplant, and then just my husband having PTSD and all these things, before my glass was empty and it could be filled with as much life stuff needed to happen, and most of the time, or all the time, I didn't feel any adverse effects or feel like I was burnt out or this or that and whatever. Trauma sits in your body. You can do all the work, and we've done, believe me, like the counselling and all sorts of stuff, and we continue to do things, but those things sit in your body. There's a brilliant book called The Body Keeps the Score, which explains what, like PTSD, trauma, things like that, how your body keeps those things and kind of stores those things. And there's only so much you can do for your capacity. I do lots of things to try and manage my loads, but my glass is always like a third full. It's never empty. And that's something I've had to kind of live and accept and make myself okay with. The worst is your own self doubt and hatred of yourself is the worst thing that you're fighting most of the time. And so knowing that my glass is like that, I have to allow myself to be kind to myself more often. And there have been periods in the last 2 months where I have not done that. Also, there have been periods in the last 2 months where I haven't had the opportunity to do that. The machine still needs to go, needs to move. And sometimes that requires things of you that mean that you don't get to decrease your load as much as you would like. So my advice to anyone struggling with feeling like you're overwhelmed and this, that and the other, she's going nuts on the sofa there, is to not compare yourself to your past self, number one, because life moves, we move, and things get added to who we are as a person. I'm trying to do like a really nice kind of serious thing over here. Thank you. I can't even remember what I just gave them as a first piece of advice. Are you coming? Are you the other piece of advice? Are you gonna come say hi? Oh, get a mental dog. Number 2, who makes you laugh. That can help. But just being kind to yourself and kind of experimenting, but in a safe way, of where you are and how much time you need to give yourself to cope with situations, I think. Yeah. But anyway, she's completely destroyed any flow that I had. My daughter's going to be back in a minute. Okay, this is just going to turn into a podcast of me kissing and coaching the dog. But as much as she is mental, she is our therapy dog. So, for me and Cybill, bye-bye. Have a lovely week, weekend, evening, day. And I'm going to try and get that t-shirt done so I can start my blouse. Okay. Bye-bye.